Let's go take a look at that.
We're drilling.
Beautiful. There's something right there.
Nice little signal here. Sounds good.
I think we have another steak.
Steak? Oh, look at that.
We're looking for a big flat stone.
What if the Oak Island Season 13 finale really becomes the biggest treasure discovery in the world? A 230-year-old mystery, dozens of failed expeditions, and now Marty Lagina's most dangerous gamble yet. More than $63 million have already been invested in this final excavation phase. Giant drilling rigs, round-the-clock crews, and emergency flood control systems have transformed the island into a massive operation unlike anything seen before. But the real shock came when new underground scans revealed something extraordinary nearly 140 feet below the surface. Metallic density readings appeared far stronger than the surrounding soil, and updated 3D mapping suggested the presence of a massive engineered chamber. Not a simple tunnel, not a natural void, something that looked more like a hidden vault system. Then the borehole camera was lowered into the darkness. What it captured left the entire war room speechless. For a brief moment, something flashed deep underground, something that may have changed the Oak Island mystery forever. Before we reveal what happened next, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, because the evidence you're about to see could become one of the most shocking moments in treasure hunting history. On the cold coast of Nova Scotia, powerful winds swept across Oak Island as giant drilling machines continued operating through the night. Massive drilling equipment thundered across the money pit as crews worked around the clock under the harsh Nova Scotia weather. Inside the command center, every eye was fixed on the glowing monitors. The latest underground data streaming onto the screens seemed unlike anything the team had encountered before. For more than 2 centuries, Oak Island had resisted every attempt to uncover its secrets. Countless expeditions had come and gone, and now over $63 million had already been poured into this latest phase of the search. After years of collapsed shafts, flooding tunnels, and unanswered questions, the team had reached a stage where walking away was no longer an easy option. As Emma Culligan examined the newest scan results, something unusual appeared deep beneath the surface. Roughly 140 feet underground, a large anomaly emerged on the display. The signal strength far exceeded that of the surrounding ground, leading several specialists to wonder whether they were looking at an artificially constructed chamber. A sudden silence swept through the war room. Marty Lagina understood exactly what was at stake. If the readings proved misleading, years of effort and millions of dollars could disappear with nothing to show for it. But if the data was accurate, they could be standing on the edge of the greatest breakthrough in Oak Island history. Hours passed as the team continued reviewing scan after scan. The room remained dark except for the glow of computer screens reflecting across anxious faces. Emma had spent nearly 11 straight hours analyzing underground density patterns when, shortly after 2 a.m., a new signal appeared that instantly changed the mood of the operation. Zooming in on the latest data set, she uncovered a massive structure-like anomaly nearly 140 feet below ground. Preliminary estimates suggested a space measuring approximately 20 feet wide and 12 feet high. Yet it wasn't the size that stunned the experts most. It was the strength of the readings. The metallic signature was measured at nearly 68% higher than the surrounding soil. No previous excavation in Oak Island's long history had produced anything comparable. As additional imaging data arrived, a network of voids and passage-like formations began taking shape on the screens. Engineers studying the patterns noted that the layout appeared unusually balanced and consistent. If it were simply a natural cavity, they argued, the shapes would likely be far more irregular. Speculation quickly spread throughout the room. What if this wasn't a single tunnel at all? What if an entire underground vault complex was hidden beneath their feet? Marty stepped closer to the monitors while Rick Lagina carefully compared the new findings with years of archived survey data. To eliminate any doubt, the team ordered another verification scan. What came back only deepened the mystery. At a depth approaching 170 feet, instruments detected a second metallic concentration. This signal was even stronger, measuring roughly 32% higher than the first anomaly. The implications were staggering. Some analysts suggested that if multiple chambers were connected below the island, the value of whatever remained inside could potentially exceed $500 million. For several moments, nobody spoke. Then Emma quietly broke the silence. It may be possible that we've finally identified the true vault system hidden beneath Oak Island. At that moment, the search entered an entirely new phase. The island itself had become almost unrecognizable. Heavy machinery covered the landscape. Towering cranes, industrial drilling platforms, and excavators operated day and night. The constant roar of engines echoed across the island without pause. Because of the ever-present threat posed by underground flood tunnels, powerful pumping systems worked continuously to remove incoming water. Bright floodlights illuminated the excavation zone around the clock, making the site resemble a large-scale industrial operation rather than a traditional treasure hunt. For Marty Lagina, this was no longer simply a television project. It had become the largest and most ambitious excavation effort ever attempted on Oak Island. Reports suggested that operating costs had climbed beyond $2 million per week. Fuel expenses, specialized equipment, emergency maintenance, security infrastructure, and around-the-clock labor were consuming enormous resources. Some observers even questioned whether the project could continue financially. Yet Marty remained committed to pushing forward. More than 200 workers rotated through multiple shifts every day. Some focused on deep drilling operations, others reinforced unstable ground conditions, while engineering teams continuously monitored pressure readings to reduce the risk of a catastrophic collapse. Among all phases of the operation, one stood out as especially dangerous: the borehole expansion. Massive steel casings were carefully lowered toward the target depth of approximately 140 feet, creating a protected route toward the anomaly. However, each passing hour increased the danger. If the cavity below proved unstable, the entire excavation area could fail with almost no warning. Then came the moment everyone had been waiting for. The borehole camera began its descent. Inside the war room, the atmosphere grew tense as live video appeared on the monitors. While drilling rigs continued their relentless work above ground, the camera slowly moved through the darkness far below the surface. Every minute of the mission carried an enormous price tag, making accuracy critical. The first inspection revealed little beyond soaked earth, aging wooden supports, and muddy shaft walls. The second pass was different. A sudden metallic reflection flashed across the screen. The image appeared for only a couple of seconds, yet it was bright enough for Emma to immediately halt the footage for review. When the team examined the video frame by frame, a smooth reflective surface could be seen along one side of the tunnel. Excitement quickly spread throughout the room. As the camera descended once more, it eventually reached a large open cavity. Preliminary estimates suggested dimensions of nearly 20 feet wide and 12 feet high. What caught everyone's attention was the appearance of the walls. Instead of rough natural stone, several surfaces appeared unusually smooth and structured, almost as though they had been deliberately shaped. Then the signal suddenly vanished. For approximately 11 seconds, static filled the screen. When the video feed finally returned, two bright metallic reflections appeared deep within the darkness. Nobody spoke. Rick remained locked on the monitor, while Marty immediately requested another verification pass. For the first time, the team genuinely began to wonder whether they had reached more than a tunnel. Perhaps they had finally arrived at the entrance to Oak Island's long-rumored hidden vault. Back in the war room, the silence was almost overwhelming. Only moments earlier, conversations, calculations, and operational updates had filled the space. Now, the soft hum of electronics was the only sound. Rick Lagina stared at the screen without looking away. Beside him, Marty slowly moved closer to the monitor, and Emma Culligan continued studying every frame, searching for the clue that could finally unlock Oak Island's greatest secret. Emma Culligan remained focused on the newest layer of 3D imaging data. With each update, the mystery seemed to deepen. The underground formation displayed on the monitors was becoming more detailed, revealing what appeared to be a network of interconnected passageways stretching beneath the island. What shocked the team most was the scale. Initially, the anomaly had appeared to be a cavity measuring roughly 20 feet across, but the latest mapping suggested the structure extended nearly 65 feet from end to end. One engineer quietly pointed out that natural cave systems rarely produce patterns this balanced and organized. The room grew silent. For the first time, several experts openly questioned whether they were looking at a natural geological feature at all. Instead, the formation seemed increasingly consistent with something intentionally constructed. Emma activated an even deeper density layer, Instantly, multiple bright metallic signatures appeared across the display. Several readings measured nearly 70% stronger than the surrounding ground. Marty quickly requested historical excavation records, because nothing remotely similar had ever been documented during Oak Island's long history of exploration. Then another surprise appeared. A previously unseen passage emerged within the mapped structure, a feature completely absent from earlier scans. Rick slowly leaned back in his chair. The atmosphere had shifted dramatically. What began as another excavation project was starting to feel like something much bigger. It was as if the island itself was finally revealing clues that had remained hidden for centuries. But before the team could fully process the discovery, a loud alarm suddenly shattered the silence. Red warning indicators flashed across the monitors, flood pressure increasing. Within moments, the mood inside the war room changed completely. Emma immediately pulled up the latest underground pressure model. The data revealed dangerous water movement beneath the target zone. Engineers estimated that an unstable layer nearly 12 feet thick existed directly below the excavation area. The risk was severe. A slight mistake in drilling direction could allow seawater from the Atlantic to rush into the chamber through the island's legendary flood tunnel system. Marty hurried toward the control station as crews monitored the situation in real time. Powerful pumps were already operating at maximum output, removing thousands of gallons of water every minute. Yet the pressure readings continued climbing. Some specialists believed that whatever lay beneath Oak Island may have been protected for generations by a sophisticated flood defense system. And now, modern excavation efforts could be triggering that mechanism for the first time in centuries. Rick watched the screens quietly. He knew better than anyone how many previous attempts had failed because of sudden flooding and tunnel collapses. But this situation felt different. This time there was evidence suggesting a massive structure might actually exist below. Then another warning appeared. Ground stability alert. Micro-movement had been detected around the chamber. Engineers immediately recommended suspending operations. According to their calculations, continued drilling could potentially destabilize the entire underground structure. A heated debate erupted. Some argued that the operation should stop immediately to prevent disaster. Others believed they were closer than ever to solving the greatest mystery in Oak Island history. As tensions rose, the discussion began moving in a different direction. No longer was the focus solely on whether something was hidden below. Now, everyone wanted to know one thing. If the structure was real, what could it actually be worth? The massive displays continued cycling through updated 3D models while historians, geologists, and treasure specialists exchanged theories. Early estimates suggested the metallic concentration could represent a value between $80 and $100 million. But those numbers didn't stay there for long. Each new scan revealed additional cavities. Each new anomaly appeared stronger than the previous one. Emma presented another updated model. The latest data indicated at least 3 additional zones connected to the main chamber. One historian immediately offered a striking observation. If these spaces are linked together, we're not looking at a single treasure chamber. We're looking at an entire underground storage complex. That statement changed everything. For the first time, someone introduced the possibility of a $500 million vault. Mining analysts suggested that if the chambers contained valuable artifacts, precious metals, historic collections, or large quantities of treasure, the overall valuation could exceed $500 million. Yet, some researchers went even further. A few openly discussed the possibility of a billion-dollar discovery. Their reasoning was simple. People had been searching Oak Island for more than 230 years. Perhaps explorers weren't chasing a single treasure chest at all. Perhaps an entire network of hidden chambers existed beneath the island. Rick stared quietly at the monitor. Marty seemed to realize that the project had crossed into entirely new territory. This was no longer just another historical investigation. It had the potential to become one of the most significant treasure discoveries ever documented. Then Emma revealed another unexpected detail. A deeper metallic concentration beneath the primary chamber had registered nearly 40% stronger than previous estimates. Immediately, a new question spread through the room. Had they actually located the main vault, or was something even larger waiting below? Emma returned to the deeper scan layers. The expanding 3D model continued growing with each new batch of data, and as more information became available, the mystery seemed increasingly complex. Earlier, the team believed the chamber at 140 feet represented the main discovery. Now that theory was beginning to collapse. Fresh seismic data revealed another anomaly directly beneath it at approximately 170 feet underground, and the readings were stronger, much stronger. Several measurements showed metallic density levels nearly 72% higher than the surrounding material. Emma enlarged the image. The deeper target appeared significantly larger than previously expected. Multiple pathways seemed to descend toward it, suggesting a multi-level structure hidden below the island. One geologist studied the image before quietly speaking. If these readings are accurate, the upper chamber may only be an entry point. Nobody responded. The implication was impossible to ignore. The team may not have reached Oak Island's true vault at all. Rick began comparing the new data against decades of archived excavation maps. Suddenly, many of the failed drilling attempts from previous generations appeared to make sense. Perhaps earlier explorers had only encountered the outer portions of the system, while the real target remained hidden far below. To eliminate any remaining uncertainty, Emma initiated one final verification scan. Everyone watched the monitors. Then it happened. A massive density spike appeared, the strongest signal recorded during the entire operation. Preliminary estimates suggested the deeper structure could extend beyond 60 feet in size. The room fell silent. No one knew exactly what was hidden beneath Oak Island, but for the first time, it seemed possible that the greatest secret in the island's history was closer than ever. Later that night, an unusual calm settled over Oak Island. For a few hours, the giant drilling rig stood silent. Even though the drilling operation had paused, the bright floodlights surrounding the money pit continued cutting through the cold Nova Scotia night. Standing alone near the edge of the excavation site, Rick Lagina looked out across the dark landscape. The distant sound of waves crashing against the Atlantic shoreline echoed through the silence. Beneath his feet lay the same ground he had spent more than a decade trying to understand. Back inside the war room, discussions about the newest scan results were still ongoing. Engineers, geologists, and researchers continued debating the significance of the deeper anomalies. But for a few moments, Rick needed distance from the excitement. In his hands were photographs from the earliest days of the search. The images showed a much simpler operation, a small drilling setup, a handful of workers, and a dream that seemed almost impossible at the time. No one could have predicted that those humble beginnings would eventually grow into a multi-million-dollar excavation involving hundreds of workers and one of the most famous treasure hunts on Earth. The journey had been anything but easy. Flood tunnels had repeatedly halted progress. Excavation shafts had collapsed. Critics and experts alike had often insisted that there was nothing hidden beneath Oak Island at all. Yet through every setback, Rick never abandoned his belief. That belief eventually inspired Marty to invest more than $63 million into the search. And now, for the first time, it seemed possible that all those years of determination had led them to this exact moment. The powerful readings from 170 feet underground, the interconnected chambers revealed by the scans, the unusually strong metallic signatures. Everything appeared to be pointing towards something extraordinary. Rick looked toward the money pit once more. Excitement filled his face, but so did uncertainty. Because if a massive vault system truly existed beneath the island, the discovery would represent far more than treasure. It would answer questions that generations of explorers had spent more than 2 centuries trying to solve. Moments later, Marty quietly walked over and joined him. Neither man spoke. Together, they simply stared into the darkness where the next chapter of the mystery waited. Meanwhile, outside Oak Island, the reaction was exploding. As reports about the underground chambers and unusual metallic readings began circulating, social media platforms erupted with discussion. If you don't want to miss the next chapter of this incredible Oak Island investigation, be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. Because what happens next could become one of the most extraordinary treasure discoveries ever recorded.